Today I want to provide a little deeper insight to how your type can tend to change during times of stress and during times of growth. It's important to remember that your Enneagram type is fluid and, depending on the circumstance, can show up in a variety of ways, ranging from very healthy to average to unhealthy. Another way to say this would be, depending on the situation, are you using your Enneagram superpowers for good, or are your Enneagram superpowers not serving you well in that moment? This is self-awareness that can be gained by learning about something like the Enneagram. So, I want you to imagine yourself on a timeline, going through your life, experiencing the world through the lens of your Enneagram type. We all tend to move along our timelines every day with this lens, and how you typically behave is rooted in this type. So for me, I'm a 6, and on an average day, I will be reacting and behaving somewhere along the spectrum of using my 6 powers for really positive things, like confidence in a decision I've made without second guessing it, or flexing my loyalty muscle to help see a commitment through all the way to the end. Or some less productive 6 tendencies like continuously challenging or judging something that can then become a barrier to moving on to the next thing. As we move through life, we are always somewhere along our own Enneagram spectrum, and if nothing ever changed around us, we'd most likely stay right there and be pretty content from day to day. But as we all know, our days are not always average, and along our timeline, we encounter events and experiences daily that trigger change in our behavior. Easier said, the only thing constant is change. Building your awareness around how you may tend to act in these situations will help you to operate in the most healthy and productive areas of your type, and in the types you lean towards during times of growth and times of stress. Finally, don't confuse the word stress as a purely negative word. For the purposes of today, think of stress as situational, or the change you can encounter in your environment. This trigger can teach us important things about how we grow from our experiences. Once stress occurs, or the change in your environment, you can begin the longer-term work of intentional growth. Developing new patterns of growth is slow, and it happens over time. So, let's dive in and look at how your type can show up during times of stress or change and in times of growth. Now that you know a bit more about how change can affect your type and what true growth looks like, take some time to discuss with your colleagues your own experiences. You may find that your group has a common experience, for example, living through the year of 2020, that you can discuss. Or feel free to discuss another experience that you've had that's major in your life, becoming a parent, moving to a new city, working in a new job, or navigating through a family crisis, or a few memorable experiences many of us have had. Feel free to reference the slide, and keep in mind that stress really just means change. It doesn't have to be negative. Change is situational. Healthy and sustainable growth is intentional and takes time. At the end of your breakout, you will be notified by a countdown that your time is coming to a close, and you will be directed back to the main screen. But please don't let the conversation and connection with your colleagues stop here today. My hope is that you will continue to connect with each other and share your experiences, and most importantly, what's working for you. Thank you, and enjoy your conversations. Seeds show that they care through bold action and by protecting those around them as an expression of concern for those who are most important to them, sometimes called the protectors. At an average self-awareness, 8s are able to accomplish large goals, but may overtake conversations and can sometimes come off as bossy. An average 8 typically is unaware of the impact their words and actions may have, whether they be negative or positive. This is a prime example of using your Enneagram superpowers in 2 different ways. At the lowest level of self-awareness, an 8 may lack sensitivity for others, dominate all interactions with others, and become aggressive in situations that cause them anger. Upon a change or a stress moment, 8s tend to lean towards the tendencies of the Enneagram 5. At its worst, this could look like an 8 isolating themselves from others or becoming very withdrawn. However, If an 8 is able to harness their high energy and redirect it towards thinking versus taking action, they can manage and handle much more gracefully and effectively the relationships that they are involved. Upon a change or a stress moment, 8s tend to lean towards the tendencies of the Enneagram 5. At its worst, this could look like an 8 isolating themselves from others or becoming very withdrawn. However, if an 8 is able to harness their high energy and redirect it towards thinking versus taking action, they can manage and handle change much more gracefully and effectively. To reach their highest growth potential as an 8, initiating the strongest traits of the helper type, which is an Enneagram 2, can be very effective. Because 8s are comfortable in taking big tasks, a watch out would be for an 8 to overwhelm themselves with unrealistic expectations. Rather, following the friendly and warm demeanor of the 2, 8s who are open to showing their more gentle side and who can master connecting with others are very effective in managing their relationships and working well on a team.